Hello, welcome back to the Cash PT Lunch Hour podcast. I'm your host, Aaron LeBauer. Today, my special guest is Vanessa Ortali. And Vanessa and I met at the February Empire Mastermind. Vanessa is a coaching client with Craig Ballantyne, and she was there as a guest. And we connected really well. And I was like, I got to get to know Vanessa. And now we're on a podcast episode. So Vanessa, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks so much for asking. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited for you to be here for a couple reasons. One, you bring a perspective outside of the physical therapy industry, and as a female business owner, helping other women specifically grow their business and their we'll talk more about it, but their network and their mindset. You can bring a perspective, because I've learned a lot of my business strategies that are successful from outside of the physical therapy industry. So thank you for being here. Can you share just a little bit about like what it is you do and who you help?
Yeah, so I am a speaker and coach, and I also founded the Ladies Community, theladiescommunity.com. You can check it out. And so basically I help within the ladies community. I plan online and in-person events and resources to help women professionally and personally. And me personally, when I coach and speak, I really talk mostly about entrepreneurship, business strategy, how to build networks and communities, and mindset. That's something I'm really passionate about.
That's awesome. And you're in Toronto, right?
I am right now. I'm missing the West Coast. It's still snowing here.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So how'd you get started in all this? Like, what were you doing before?
Yeah. So before, I actually did corporate team building and executive coaching. And I've always loved coaching and team building. I've done it for over 15 years. And before that, I went to business school. So I've always loved, I also did my undergrad in biology. So I've always loved this combination between the mind, the body, and business. And I've always been an entrepreneur, even since when I was little. So it's just kind of evolved naturally. And when I look at what I was really good at when I was younger and what people always gravitated to me for, it was always mindset, advice and business and mindset. Yeah. So I'm really grateful that I've been able to create this niche for myself of things that I'm naturally good at and things that I love.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so people come to you to solve their problems kind of thing?
Always. Yeah. I was their free life coach for years.
That's cool. So how did you, so let's say, like in school, did you know you were going to own a business, or was there something that happened between like university and kind of business, like what happened there? What's the story?
Yeah, I always knew I wanted to own my own business. I never wanted to work for somebody else. And even when in business school, they do really extensive recruiting, and I didn't even want to recruit. I mean, I looked at all the options, but knew that there was more. I knew I wanted to lead. I really love trying new things, and being given a lot of responsibility was something I always loved, problem solving. So when I first came out of school, I worked for a small startup who did executive coaching. And so from there, I was able to get my feet wet and try a bunch of different things and really understand how business worked from, the core.
Awesome. So how'd you come up with the ladies community? Like where'd that idea come from, and what's it all about?
I didn't even come up with it. It was a complete accident. And this comes back to why I'm so passionate about talking about your network and building a supportive community, because I was single in my 30s, living downtown as an entrepreneur. All my friends were married and had kids, and I just wanted to expand my network. So I literally got online, Facebook and Bumble BFF, which is like a friend app. And I started doing meetups within Toronto. And within a couple of months, we had over 100 women coming out to all of the meetups. Wow. And then they wanted more. And then I noticed there was this disconnect between women wanting a friend and or a network for the wrong reasons. And they were really looking to fulfill something within themselves that they weren't doing the work. So I knew I needed to add the mindset piece and some more training and development. And then the ladies community just kind of evolved and grew when it started to take a lot more time
Yeah.
And I think the biggest challenge for me was turning a free resource, which was just these random meetups, into a revenue generating business.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the challenge there? Was it just that people weren't expecting it to be free, or was it not knowing what to offer next?
Both.
Yeah.
I think people just wanted it to be free. They also didn't appreciate and or know how much work goes into planning an event. They're like, oh, this is easy. Why does she have to charge? So it was a little bit of changing my messaging and educating the community as to how much work it actually took and
Yeah.
why I needed to charge. And then I didn't know what to charge. And I didn't know how to turn it into a revenue generating machine.
Yeah.
So that's taken some adjustment.
Yeah. So how did you do that? Is it you charge per events, or is there some other product or service that you offer outside of the free events?
I started with events, and if I were to do it again, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I started with events and then went into more product offerings, one-on-one coaching and courses and all that. I would have gone into coaching and courses sooner and not done the events. Because if you look at how much money you can generate from events, really you generate a couple hundred to a few $1,000s, depending on the event. I think you're better off hosting really great events, on a smaller scale, expanding your community, and then being able to give them different offerings.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And
what is it that, I guess my big question that comes from this so far is like, what was missing for a lot of the women that were coming in there for you to help to coming to events? Like, what was the thing that was missing, whether it was a connection or network or something else?
Yeah, so I find that most people come to the community because they're in some sort of transition, professionally or personally. So either a breakup, divorce, move to a new city, and or they're an entrepreneur, and they're still looking for some sort of like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
I think growing up, we're friends with people because of proximity. And then as we grow older, we're thinking, I don't really jive with these people anymore. And so then they're just being more intentional and taking more ownership for the types of people they surround themselves with.
Yeah. But don't we, I mean, the dumb rhetorical question is, well, women have an easier time talking to each other, right?
No, I totally disagree. I talk about this with my girlfriends all the time and my boyfriend. I feel like men are so much more straight up and honest, and women, there's this innate jealousy and competitive nature that they actually almost team up against each other, coming from a place of insecurity. And I find it was always really difficult for me to have authentic female friendships growing up. Yeah. So I was almost scared of women, if I'm being honest, because most of the people that I was bullied by through, my adolescence, teenage, and into my 20s were women, not men.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So it's women who are the women that you're working with, are they all like entrepreneurs and business owners, or?
Most of them are entrepreneurs, business owners, and or executives in some capacity. They have some sort of leadership position where they are still building community and building influence.
Yeah. But they're missing like connection with other people in the same position.
Yeah. So they're either missing people, colleagues and people that they can work with, and or even mentors. So I also still think there's this gap, and maybe you see this in the women that you coach as well. There's this gap that women don't talk about money enough. So they don't actually know how to build a business. And we also need to take more ownership in our mindset, because it's so easy for us to try to control the things around us to make us happy.
Yeah.
So I really love the nitty gritty of helping us stay more accountable to our own happiness and the life that we create. Yeah.
How did you have trouble with a lot of these things?
Totally. I think, for me, even saying that from a business perspective, I struggled a lot trying to turn it into a revenue generating business. And so I had to find my own coaches and mentors, Craig being one of them, to help me to transition that. And I resisted becoming a coach and a trainer for a long time personally, because I didn't know how to create a multi-million-dollar business in that field. So I needed that example. And then mindset wise, I think for me, and I don't think this is female only, I just think we put up with too much shit.
Yeah.
Like I was filled with anxiety and overwhelm, and I just knew there had to be a different way. So I call it the mental Olympics. Like I trained real hard. And then now I just teach what I did to help other people live in more peace and happiness.
Yeah. Wow. So what is it that like you struggle? So what is it that you struggle with specifically that you're like, I guess my question is was it charging enough? Was it, cause you were like, well, I was in business. Was it taking a free thing and actually now saying, hey, it's worth money? What was there something specific?
Yeah, for business, it was specifically what did my revenue streams look like, and how many different offers did I need to have to actually build a business and create the income that I wanted monthly. So then how do I create fast cash that's coming in? And then how do I create that long-term cash so that I'm still making money without actually working? Because coaching is still, and physical therapy can still be the same, where you're trading your time for money.
Right.
So how do you build something beyond that? So I struggled with that. And then I also struggled because I started charging for events first and wasn't making enough revenue from that. So then I needed to understand what other options are there for me to bring in revenue, and what do my product offerings look like?
Right. And so how'd you figured out like the details with like a coach and figuring that out? Like, how'd you overcome the mental block of like valuing yourself or money?
Yeah.
Money mindset.
It takes time, and I tackled one thing at a time. For me, the first thing was anxiety and overwhelm and like constant action. I was a hustler, but then I was exhausted. So I was always burnt out. So that was the first thing that I had to overcome. And then from there, I had to obviously gain the confidence in myself. And that just a lot of time just takes, trial and error and failing a lot, and then just not giving up, because as an entrepreneur, your mindset is everything, and all of your insecurities come out. And so if you're going to let it stop you, then don't be an entrepreneur. But, I just thought with every roadblock that I came up against, it was a challenge for me that I took on. And I was so excited. I was like, great, this means I get to be better, and I get to discover something about myself that I didn't know. So how can I use this, and what is this trying to teach me so that I can continue to step into my best self?
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. What kinds of things do you do on a regular basis right now to continue working on that?
A lot. It is my passion. Like I say, I'm still training for my mental Olympics. It's a ongoing process, just like fitness. And so for me, daily, in summary, for me, my daily goal is inner peace and and feeling in alignment, like feeling at my best self. In order to get there, I do different things, whether it be journaling, free writing, meditation, mantras, going for a walk. I don't really care what you do, as long as you feel good and you feel at your best. And I think that people just need to get in tune with that, whatever that is for them.
What's the money mindset block that most people have?
That they don't need a lot. So I hear this all the time when I'm talking to clients. I said, okay, would you want your ideal life to look like? If I had a magic wand, what would you want? And they're like, well, I don't need much. Just need to get by. And I go, really? Like, I just said that I would give you anything, and you said you just want to get by. There's this block that money is bad and having money is bad. And you having money means you've helped that many people, and that if you have more money, you can help other people. Sarah Blakely just gave away $5 million to female entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So it gives you freedom and flexibility that you don't have otherwise. Money is great, and it's just a form of currency. So I think us changing what is money and what it actually means to us is the biggest block.
Yeah. Is it something that you still struggle with?
Yeah, totally. I'm always looking at that. As my business continues to grow, there's always a new block that I see. Thinking, oh, okay, there's something else. It's, now I notice sometimes I think like, how am I going to do that? Or can I actually do that? And so I still see it coming up because in me growing up, my family taught me, and I was conditioned that money's hard to come by. You have to work super hard for it. And, money is bad and people with money are XYZ.
Right.
So I really had to be more aware of that. And, money is scarce. Oh, this is too expensive, or I can't afford this. So I'll catch myself still saying that.
Yeah.
And then I just have to work my way through that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's important to share. And like, I had similar things. I didn't know where money came from. I just knew like I could make it come out of thin air with a credit card, But the thing that I had recently was difficult. And one of the reasons I work with Bedros is he was like, Aaron, I want you to aim for 3 to 5 million a year. And I was like, that's all good. I was like, but what does that look like? I was like, I don't know what it looks like. And he said, you're trying to guesstimate it with what you already have and not with these other potential avenues that you will have. And I was just like, oh, I was like, oh, I see. It's like, I needed him to like, I was like, okay, great. Tell me, show me, what does it look like to be able to do that? Because I can't see it from where I'm standing.
Yeah.
And that
that's
was really
exactly what I was saying with my struggle when building the business, because I didn't know it. I didn't see it. Right, so you need coaches, like yourself, to paint that picture so you know what's possible. Yeah.
So if someone comes to you, and because here's one of the questions or the problems I get all the time, it's like, oh, well, Aaron, I know I'm not charging enough, but and it's kind of like followed up, but I only need X. I only need $3,000, $4,000 a month. I know I need to charge enough, I need to raise my rates, or I need to charge more. How do you help people get through that? Like,
I heard a really great analogy and story. So I want to share because it helps to paint a really good picture. So if somebody said, I'll give you $1,000 if you pay me 100, people would be like, what's the catch? Like, sure, I'll pay you 100 to get 1,000. Right. And that's kind of what coaching is. If they're paying you $100, but then you're giving them $1,000 worth of value and you'll help them make $1,000, then of course that trade is there.
Right.
So I think at the end of the day, people need to understand what is their value and how are they actually helping that person. It's not about you. It's about your value that you're giving them and everything that's going to change in their life because you've worked with them, and what that value is, that $1,000, not the $100. So I think really just being confident in what you have to offer and what impact you'll make on somebody else to help them, increase their prices and feel better. But you have to also get really great on your sales calls. Craig, and I'm sure you've been trained many times as well to master that sales call. If you master a sales call and you can properly bring someone from the visual of where they are to where they need to go, and you being that bridge, you can charge whatever you want and people will need you. They're going to go, yes, I want to get there. If you can help me get there, I'm in.
Yeah.
So it's being confident in your sales abilities as well.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's also, I think valuable what you said is it's not about you, it's about them. I mean, I've certainly have people write me a check and I was like, wait, that's more than what I charge. And they're like, it is? It's like, they want something very different than what we think they want a lot of times.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, I was like, so it's like, so a lot of times our value is stuck in like our perception but our clients and customers, patients, they have a completely different like journey and challenge and desire of what they want. Right.
Yeah. No, exactly. And if what you're teaching comes easy to you, we don't always realize how much value it gives the other person. So if you're sitting there going, this is too easy, I'm like, this was nothing for me, then you're in the right industry because you're doing what you're good at. And then getting feedback, what did you get from me working with you? What value are you getting? So you can understand how much impact you're making, because people will pay for things that you're good at and they're not good at. We all have different skills. So teach what you're good at, and then life will seem easy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I also know from the way Craig introduced you at the mastermind that you're great at networking. and building your network. And that's part of what you do. So what are some of the ways that you help people you build networking, or like, maybe let's start with what's your definition of networking? Because my early experience was I showed up at networking events and people were either trying to sell me their product, which I'm like, I'm not the customer, or they were just interested in the free beer. So, can you talk a little about like what it really is networking and how do you cultivate that?
Yeah. So I think networking is a lot more genuine than networking events. Don't go to networking events to meet anyone, go to practice.
Right.
I think the real networking happens in your everyday life. At the grocery store, I would go and work, because I've been self-employed for years. I would work in hotel lobbies and network with people in the hotel lobby. And I just found that easy. Or when people are drinking, they're always easier to get to know. So I think the key to networking is just making an authentic connection with a person and having no expectations of where that's going to go, and seeing how you can help the other person. Because if your intention is just, hey, you're an awesome human, Aaron, like when we first met, I'm like, I love his energy. I just want to get to know him and see what he's about. And then you understand who they are, and then ask them, how can I help you? Is there something I can do with your goals or help you meet your goals right now? And then it just kind of continues to develop from there. I also think that if you're coming to a networking situation wanting to just make a connection and not worry about where it leads, you end up treating everyone like they're your best friend, and it makes people feel good. You just want to make people feel welcome and feel accepted.
Yeah. So let's say someone's going to like a traditional kind of networking event, or even like for the first time, like, cause I know people like use BNI and it's really popular and successful. Like my experience not with that organization, but a different one was just, like I said, like I'd show up and people would just try to sell me their product instead of like want to talk to me. What's the best way to approach something like that the first time? And what should people really be looking for in like a networking community?
So I actually did 5 tips to networking, because I get this question all the time. So I'll send you that link. But I say get personal as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So if I'm a hugger, I will hug random strangers. It breaks the barrier, and you obviously have to gauge. If you're in like a professional meeting, it might not be appropriate, but treating them like you would your best friend, and then getting personal as quickly as possible. How are you? Do you like what you do? Do you love it? Why did you get into this? You want to get to the core of who they are, and you want to see that spark in their eye. You want to see them light up, because then they're going to associate you with that good feeling that they felt in your conversation together. If you just ask them, what do you do? Do you have children? I mean, that's a good start, but then you'd be like, what do you love about your kids? Do you like being a mother? You want to just get some sort of emotion out of them to build that connection, because then they'll remember you. And a really, really general tip when you walk in a room is just do an energy survey and think, who do I want to meet? And you don't have to meet everyone. Go for the people that you like their vibe, and you only need to meet 1 or 2 people. Like, don't put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say like, I'm trying to figure out like, how do I market my business, right? I've got to the point where I know who my patients are, and I identify that or my customers, and they're at this group and that group, and I need to get in touch with these people, but I don't know them. I'm going to make a cold call. Most people are going to go like, I'm not going to call them cold because they're going to reject me, right? So
probably.
Right? Probably. So how do I get over that? And how do I use, what can I do instead to get a good, like, whether it's introduction or get in front of someone, whether it's a gym owner or like a reporter for like a major magazine. Like, how do I do that? How would you?
Yeah. So I always tell my community and my clients, write out who exactly you need to meet, whether it be, investors, clients, whatever that is, and be very specific. So even when I was looking for a mentor, I was really specific as to the qualities I was looking for. The reason you want to be specific is because when you ask for a referral, you can say, hey, Aaron, I'm looking for someone who is a 35-year-old woman who struggled with XYZ. Do you know that person?
Right.
If I were to just ask you for a referral and be like, hey, Aaron, do you know anyone? Aaron wants to help me, but has no idea what I even need. So you'd want to be really specific in your ask is number one. And then you also want to obviously get a soft introduction if you can. So you want to find out where are these people and how can I get there? So I'm going to use a really easy example. I knew, growing up, I wanted to expand my network and meet a lot more entrepreneurs and professionals. When I was younger, in my teens and 20s, I didn't have the money to spend thousands of dollars going to these charity events, but I knew the people I wanted to meet in my network were going to these nice charity events. So I would contact the organizer, say, hey, I want to be there. Can I volunteer? So I started getting my foot in the door by volunteering at events where your clients are, or even just your personal network that you want to expand. Find out, where are they and how can I get there in any way, even if I can get there for free. And then once you start networking in the industry, you just start making friends, and then one thing leads to another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about making the personal connection more than trying to make the sale part of it.
Right. Exactly. 100%. Because then the sale, because I don't even know anymore. And I'd love to know what you think about this. When they say you have to have your 30-second elevator pitch.
Right.
And I feel like people try so hard to have that one sentence, like, I help people maximize their strength and abilities to whatever. And you're sitting there thinking, what the heck does that even mean? That was such a crafted line of BS that I don't even believe you. Right. But if you're just open and honest and you just bring yourself and people feel how much you like what you do, then you'll naturally start talking. So I just don't be fake. Just be yourself.
Right. No, that's awesome.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's totally good. So I was checking out your website and it says on the latest community, it says, are you a dude? So what's the are you a dude? Like what's the deal with dudes?
Yeah, so we get lots of dudes that will come to our events trying to pick up women. And or they're looking for a wife. So we actually have a link. So if you're a dude, you can still join our email list as a guy. And then if we have a co-ed event or something for men, we can include you. And we still have, obviously, it's called the ladies community, but we still have guys show up to our events and we don't care. Yeah.
That's awesome. You don't need a bounce or anything like that.
No, it's all inclusive. Guys are welcome. We usually have one or two token guys that show up, and that's cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So what kind of things do you guys do at your events? Like what is a typical event like, and are there different types?
Totally. We have lots of different types. We have business workshops, full day retreats, and then we also do networking and speaker series. So it really depends. We're really starting to move more global and international, and we started going online before, right now when we're doing this interview, it's during Corona, but we started going online way before because we knew we wanted to meet more people and reach more people. Yeah. And it's really hard when you're doing live events because you have to move and you have to essentially create this tour. And so now we're leaning more towards less events, but larger events, and then doing them in a couple of cities instead of doing events. We were doing events every week and it was exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing a networking event every week, what, couple hundred people? I mean,
so it depends. It depends. Some of our workshops, we'd have 50, but then our actual networking events, we had anywhere from 20 to 1,000. It really just depended on the theme and what it was.
Yeah. That's it. And were you doing it all all by yourself? You have a team of people, or what's the deal?
It was basically me. I did have people helping me part-time, but it was a lot. And I knew that I couldn't continue the way I was going. And when I looked at a question I always ask my clients is, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What do you want your life to look like? And I think so often entrepreneurs will build a business that's worse than if they were to work for someone else. Right. You have to build your business around your life so that you're not just a slave to your business. And I knew something needed to change because I just couldn't do it anymore.
What was the number one thing that you changed?
I moved online.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started to provide more resources online. It also allowed me to connect with more people, just like this. Aaron and I are virtual,
Mm-hmm.
and it allowed me to bring in a lot more experts to provide resources from all over the world to the community.
Yeah.
So I think it is better because then they can be in the comfort of their own home and learning from the best people around the world.
That's great. How
Yeah.
are you building the community now that you're not, it's probably expanding a little bit differently than word of mouth or maybe the way it was locally, but like, what are you doing now to expand? And is there something that is no longer working, or is it all
Oh,
kind of
good
working?
question. Yeah. So the community is growing faster now than it ever has.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the main reason is I always try to keep a pulse on what the community needs. So I'm surveying the community weekly. What do you need? What do you want? What are your struggles?
Mm-hmm.
And if I keep an eye on what they need, I just keep providing them online workshops and resources for what they need. We get, I'd say, about 5 to 10 women joining our community daily,
Wow.
word of mouth on Facebook and Instagram. And I hope that they feel our energy and they know that we're genuine when we want to help them and create something different. I think the best thing is just to understand your community, know who they are and know what they need, because they're always evolving, and they'll also tell you the exact words that they need to hear for you to share with them that the product that you're offering them and the service that you're offering them will actually help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there, are you guys doing like, are you doing like Facebook ads? Are you doing like
We do no
targeted
paid ads.
emails, that kind of
No,
stuff?
we
Okay.
we can definitely get better in those areas. So our main focus right now is Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of collaborations. So weekly, a guest will come in and do a workshop. We also did an online summit. That helps a lot because then their community, they're promoting us to their community also. So the collaborations are great. I also personally, and you train entrepreneurs. It's been my goal to also be more authentic and put myself out there more.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed the more videos I'm making and the more lives I do, the more people can connect to me and trust me that this is a community for them and where they want to gain information and network.
Yeah. Awesome. What
Mhm.
what do the next 5 years look like? What's your goals? What do you
Oh,
want?
this is exciting. So one comment I want to make before I get into that
Uh-huh.
is I've really tried to practice surrender because I don't want to get in my own way. Before I started coaching with some of my coaches right now, my goals were my goals because that's all I knew and that's all I thought was possible.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I think if we create too many goals for ourselves, we actually limit ourselves because we don't know what's possible. So
Right.
I try to get out of my own way and keep the opportunities and possibilities completely open because I think so much can happen further and beyond what I can even comprehend in my mind. But in 5 to 10 years, I want to continue to be public speaking around the world, have online courses and resources to help train women and men on mindset, business, and networking.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to make enough money to treat the people in my life and to really help. I want to start a charity and help other female entrepreneurs that are really struggling. Like I really struggled. There were moments, and I would love to know, even, we all struggle. There were moments when I didn't know how I was going to even pay for my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to call my mortgage company and be like, can I postpone a month? It's not easy. If you aren't ready for that, then this entrepreneurship might not be for you because you have to problem solve and you have to figure it out. But being put in those situations, I just hustled and figured it out. So I want to be able to help women in those situations, and I just want to give people experiences that they wouldn't have had otherwise. So
Yeah.
I want to share as much love and
Yeah.
inspiration as I can.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Looking back on anything in the last few years or, where else, is there one thing that you did that at the time seemed like a mistake, but now you're glad like it happened for you?
I thought you were going to ask the reverse of something
Yeah.
that seemed good and then ended up being a mistake. Something that I thought was going to be a mistake and ended up being good. Well, I mean, I just think even the struggle at the time, it was so painful not being able to pay my mortgage and not knowing where my money was going to come from. And I was so stressed out, like in tears. I was depressed. I just didn't understand. But everything that I learned in that time allowed me to be the entrepreneur I am today, and allows me to relate to people within my community that are in that struggle, and I know there's a different way. So now I can just teach them what I went through. And it was really difficult. You know, I even lost my mom when I was young. Mm-hmm. And that pain of losing my mother, I could have gone one way or the other. And I really chose to grow and evolve to a point that I'm very grateful for the entire experience. And now I can teach people how to go through loss and how to go through pain to a place, because I've been there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's powerful. What, for someone out there who's like struggling with like lack of confidence or network, or, you know, trying to figure this whole thing out, what's your number one piece of advice for them?
Yeah. So if you're struggling with confidence, I think it's really important to get in tune with your best self. Mm-hmm. I want you to write a list, and I want you to get so in tune with the feeling of who he or she is. Know what she feels like, you know, what you look like, how you act, and embody him or her every day. And do a meditation every morning so you feel like that person. You need to just step into that person and at least know who that person is. So many people have no idea who their best self and who their truth is. So knowing that, and then you can continue to move forward. But the confidence, what was the second piece that you asked?
It's like if someone, like a lot of people out there struggle with like having the confidence to keep working, moving forward, and you know, not having a network, or they don't have the right people around them, right?
Yeah. That is really important. We all hear, obviously, you are the sum of the 5 closest people to you. There was a couple of years that I had no friends. I had 0 friends as I was transitioning, because I still love them, but we just weren't in the same goals and we weren't vibing anymore. Right. And that lonely period was when I did my deepest work on my confidence and who I wanted to be. And it was devastating at the time, because I really liked those people and I didn't understand why we weren't connecting. But I look back now and I know that they were holding me back. So if you're looking around you and you don't want to be like the people you're surrounding yourself with, then they're holding you back and preventing you from stepping into your best version of yourself. And the world needs you to be that person. They need you to be your quirky, weird self so that you can lead and help. And people are going to try to keep you small because it makes them feel safe. Right. And the more you can step out there and just put yourself out there, you don't know who's on the other side watching you and being inspired by you. You know, you igniting your own light just ignites the light of others around you without you even knowing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Would you say it's just kind of getting in touch with who you are and being for yourself and not for other people?
Yeah.
Right? The 100%. Authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah. But because it's hard. We live in a world where everyone's telling you not to stand out. You know, but as babies love being looked at. Babies don't look at you and think, oh, don't look at me. They're like, look at me, I'm amazing. Like, go back to your childhood. And we have so many labels nowadays of being an introvert and being shy and not liking to public speak. And I think it's all bullshit. You've just told yourself that. Like, step away from all the labels. Your inner self doesn't care, just wants to be you and isn't scared of anything. So swipe away all those labels and get in tune with your truth, because you're so much more than you even know.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, the funny thing is, we're sitting down last night at dinner, and my daughter, who's 9, said something to my wife about me being weird. And we were like, and she was like, that's not nice. And I was like, what do you mean? And my wife said, you know, you don't call people weird. She said, my daughter was basically like, well, being weird's a compliment. Like, you're supposed to be weird and different. And I looked at her and I said, Elena, I get that. I said, but when your mom and I grew up, being weird was not something people expected of you. And it was and it's not a compliment to a lot of people. And she just didn't get it, because I think,
Wow,
it's like these days, like some of the kids, like they want to be different. Like being different's cool. Where we grew up, being different wasn't cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so cute.
Yeah. So, Vanessa, if someone wants to get in touch with you or find out more about you or the ladies community, what's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so you can go check out theladiescommunity.com, and we have weekly workshops, webinars. They're all free. And we also have a really active Facebook group, or you can check us out on Instagram. And then you can also check out my personal stuff. I post videos and motivational and business stuff every day at vanessaortali.com and or my Instagram, which is I am Vanessa O.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here on the show today. I really appreciate you coming in and spend the time and sharing your insights.
So fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is Aaron LeBauer and Vanessa Ortali for the Cash PT Lunch Hour. Go out, get connected, be yourself, and share it with other people. I guess that would be my big takeaway. So thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate it. Awesome. See y'all on the next show.